We have a bureaucrat in Alberta that makes limousine Liberal Federal Health Minister Jane Philpott look a lot like Scrooge McDuck. Marilyn Smith is the chair of the Calgary Mental Health Review Panel, and sometimes she, like many of us, has to travel around the province for work. But unlike the rest of us who watch our pennies and are careful with our employers' expense accounts, Marilyn Smith just loves her chauffeurs. She takes them everywhere, from Calgary to Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, Canmore, all over, and we pay for them all. Marilyn Smith frequently charges over $1,000 per trip to her taxpayer-funded expense account when she hires a limo service to drive her to meetings in southern Alberta. It's absolutely nothing to see old Diamond Marilyn take a limo service 4 times in a month, costing several thousands of dollars. Now let's just assume for a minute that Smith hires a driver because she feels like she needs to work during her drive. Well, if that's the case, I've got good news. There are shuttles and buses and business coaches that go to all the places that Marilyn took a chauffeur-driven town car to. In fact, I found a really fancy business shuttle from Calgary to Medicine Hat for $75. So a two-way trip would be a comfortable and frugal 150 taxpayer dollars. For that same trip, Smith frequently paid anywhere from $1,000 to $1,300. I found another company with an equally nice business coach that does a round trip from Lethbridge to Calgary 7 days per week for $120. For that same trip, Smith routinely charged the taxpayer about $900. But this story is even worse. Alberta Health was warned about Smith and her lust for luxury at the beginning of January this year by Paige McPherson of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. The CTF informed Alberta Health that Smith had charged nearly $27,000 for chauffeur-driven town cars in 2015. It's actually one of the reasons I first started looking into Smith's expenses. I wanted to know if anything had changed, the way a spokesperson for Alberta Health had promised it would. Obviously it hasn't. Since Alberta Health was warned about Smith, Smith used a limo service 3 times in February for a cost of $3,846.25. She used the limos twice in March, costing $2,010.64, 3 times in April, costing $2,741.17, then 4 times in May, totaling $3,326.60. Who does she think she is? Kanye? And those are all the expenses that are posted. So that means including January, so far we're at $12,800.65 for chauffeurs for the first 5 months of 2016, right on target with last year. Nothing has changed. And here I am trying to save up for a limo for my kid's grad this year. I should just get him to bum a ride with old gold-plated Marilyn. Now, I like to be fair, so I'll give you a little good news. The chair of the Edmonton North Mental Health Review Panel, R. Alan Harris, routinely uses his own car or rents a car and drives himself to places like Grand Prairie and other places for meetings. His driving expenses to the far-flung places of northern Alberta often fall at under $100. And the chair for the Central Region, Craig Patterson, doesn't even rent a car when he has to go to hearings or meetings. He uses his personal car for everything and only charges kilometers as expenses. So I want to acknowledge these two men for that. Apparently, it's really easy to abuse your Alberta Health expense account, like Marilyn Smith has done so often, yet these two never did. So we've got 2 decent government bureaucrats. What's next? Trudeau working? Okay, that's too far. Now I just sound crazy. So where is Sarah Hoffman, the health minister, who seems to be doing the energy minister, Marg McQuaig-Boyd's job these days? Hoffman says she's spearheading the fight to undo the power purchase agreements to save Albertans money. Maybe she needs to start with her own wasteful ministry and rein in these out-of-control spenducrats. Remember when Rachel Notley said this from her kitchen table?
Let me start with controlling costs. Since taking office last year, we have combed through government to find savings. For example, we've frozen salaries for members of cabinet, MLAs, and political staff until after the next election. We've also frozen salaries for senior public servants for the next 2 years. And we have taken a careful approach to delivering on our own campaign promises, slowing down their rollout and reallocating savings to where they are needed most.
Well, it's not like I had to freedom of information these expenses. They're publicly posted. Why didn't someone from the government on some sort of efficiency-finding mission find these expenses? It's because the NDP aren't bothering. They aren't even looking. They don't want to find efficiencies. They don't really care. They want to find more ways to tax you to keep their public sector chums driving around in limos. Right now, the NDP are mad because Jason Kenney is driving around the province on a truck tour. At least it's his own truck, and he's the guy driving, and I'm not paying for it. The NDP need to stop worrying about Jason Kenney's personal vehicle and pay attention to the limos of Alberta Health. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.